this is the double scoop. Something really special. I'm really excited about it. It's a concept I've been working on now for 4 years, and I'm finally happy enough to release this to the world and hopefully give everyone the enjoyment that I've been getting from this board. The main concept behind this is trying to guide the water into the right part of the tail of the board to get more lift out of the nose rides. We're taking a scoop out of both sides of the stringer on the deck of the board, creating a double scoop effect running through the tail. That's feeding into the spoiler in the back of the tail. That's in conjunction with the bottom shape, which is a long concave coming to 2/3 back into a nice rolled V tail. So really loose and rolls onto its rail super easy with this concave behind the fin to add extra control and lift on the nose as well. It's also a nice 50-50 rails, but actually bladey through the tail here. So a lot of control still here, but no hard edge, similar to the cherry picker where we've got that concave behind the fin. So this is all nice and rolled out, and then the concave through the tail behind the fin just takes that roll away and gives you that extra bit of control during your turns and control during nose rides. So the combination of all these things is going to give you a much more maneuverable, dynamic board with all the lift and the stability from nose riding a big wide tail board. It's an amazing concept, and it's all really come from looking at Formula One cars and how they create downforce in the back end of the car and how they guide the air through the car into the spoiler to engage it even more and give the car more grip. And essentially that's what we're doing with a double scoop. We're guiding the water into the spoiler of the board, which is going to give a lot more weight in this area, giving more lift and more control while you're nose riding. The spoiler in the cherry picker is essentially the back end of an F1 car. In my head, that's exactly what I wanted it to do, is to create drag, so you kind of have speed control and lift at the same time. Essentially, an F1 car is being forced to the ground so that it's got more grip, and then it can go faster because it can drive faster around corners because it's being pushed to the ground. So it's the same concept with this, and obviously a spoiler will only pick up so much airflow until you start feeding it, and then you feed the spoiler airflow and it's going to create more downforce and more grip, so you can drive faster with more control. So, you know, the same concept for me went into this board, and I wanted to start feeding the spoiler, feeding that part of the board that engages you so much in the pocket and gives you the speed control and the lift and everything that you need. And we don't have spoilers on the front of the car because we want the nose to lift, so the more of this we get, the more lift we get. One of the main reasons and concepts for this was to try and create something that had that stability and lift of a big wide-tailed traditional nose rider, but make it much more dynamic without losing that element that we all love from riding a nose rider, that locked-in lifting feeling. And that's what the cherry picker gave me, and it's definitely a development from the cherry picker. So the cherry picker is much straighter in the rail than the double scoop outlines, and that is really about trying to loosen up the tail of the board, make it a bit more pivot in the turns, much tighter turns than you would get from a straighter rail, having this kind of hipped pig Australian kind of outline that we're looking at. And also the width here is what's going to create the lift, feeding the water into the tail. The simple physics are the wider tail you have, the more lift you're going to get in the nose. So we didn't want to lose that. We've just moved it and changed the area of the wideness, keeping a little bit of width here, but having that double scoop holding more weight through that area, it's allowed us to have a little bit less tail, so more maneuverability and being able to like whip much tighter turns into the pocket, and also surfing from the hips a little bit more than driving off the front foot. So it's a really nice element to the traditional way I've been surfing, and I really like the way it feels and how it flows from turn to nose ride.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks super nice and has a lot of lift out of it while staying pretty loose off the tail. Feels like it keeps speed throughout the flat sections. Kind of does what you want when it's a bit choppier and helps you stay in the pocket for the nose rides. It was really good. Super stoked.
I'm really enjoying it. It feels like it's got so much lift when getting to the nose, and I feel like I can do really, really expressive turns on it.
It's fast, agile to move around in the water. The wide point is a further path. It's been letting me really lean into my turns. And even though it's got this rail game, it still holds well in the pocket and it nose rides really well.
We're kind of 4 years into this concept, and this is the very first double scoop that I made. This original board is amazing in small waves, a lot of amazing times on it in Barbados, and some of the nose rides were incredible. And this is actually Lucas's favourite longboard he's ever ridden. He absolutely loves riding it. You can see the double scoop. It's changed quite a bit. We've extended it and made it a bit deeper, but essentially it's all here. And again, went into this flip, and it was all about guiding water flow into the tail of the board. You know, again, coming back to that F1 car. If you look at this board from here, it could look like the back end of an F1 car, the shape of the spoiler and the way that the tail is being fed by the water and the design of the board. And of course, it's gonna just increase that lift. Some of the turns I was even doing on this board was amazing and definitely different to the cherry picker. I just wanted to make more of that feeling. So that's when we started to narrow the tail block and just create a bit more curve, a little bit more dynamic tail than this big wide tail. I work a lot with Jack Entwistle in Australia, and he's a good friend and one of the best Australian longboarders there is. And he's been the Australian champ, he's been on the world tour, and he loved the cherry picker, so he was really up for trying the double scoop. I've been telling him about it, and so we ended up making a version for him which I'd wanted to do from this board and just narrow that tail, and it felt great, but it was just too narrow, and I really enjoyed it. Jack's got the board still in Australia, and I think he loves it as well, but these things are all kind of trial and error, and this was kind of the really wide version in the tail, and then the red and black one was much too narrow, and then I feel we found the perfect balance with the original. This was the board that I finally felt like I'd nailed everything. You can see that we've still got that wide piggy outline, but with a much more balanced tail block compared to the yellow and green one and the red one. It's just right in the middle. You know, once I'd started riding this board, some of the surfing I was doing on it just felt like the best surfing I've ever done in my life. And I just felt like I could do anything I wanted on it, and I was surfing it in big chunky surf and still having such a blast on it, which is, you know, not normal for a board like this with no hard edge to have that kind of control in bigger, bumpier surf. And the lift off the nose, I mean, it's like a really perfect blend. And especially here, with those beach breaks, like it just fits so well in now waves. And then when Malibu came around, this is so agile. I just wanted something longer, more stable, that's gonna smooth everything out on that long, perfect wave that's Malibu. So I made a 9/8 version of this exact board, 23.5 by 3 inches. It was just such a beautiful board.
I got the vibe that Ben tuned into the Malibu magic then. He clearly had the best shape wave, and the lift that he got on the nose was incredible. He's riding a prototype board, a 9/8 double scoop, inspired by his Cherry Picker Thunderbolt model, but trying to incorporate a wider point back to give a looser turning radius, but still facilitate tight nose rides by having those kind of scooped out sections on the tail to have a weight of water to help levitate the nose even more. And you could see through some of those nose rides, that nose levitation was almost taking him higher than the lip line. It's a very rare thing to see. And Ben, to me, looked absolutely outstanding on that ride. He fades in, 4 steps up to the tip. There's the lock of the nose ride, gets the 10 pedals back, just does a beautiful readjust there, low in the wave for that nose ride, but right in the pocket, and then watch the spray. Wow. See the spray generated from such a small wave and then accelerating through the footwork back into the 10 and pedals back, and again throws a lot of spray even on that small section through the inside, moving, looking lively. This is the kind of surfing we saw from Ben Skinner last year. It took him to 2nd place at Malibu. This guy is on the hunt for a world title.
Representing the UK and Skindog Surfboards, Ben Skinner.
Great surfing. I love the down carve like that. It's just beautiful to see the redirection and set themselves up to get back into that steeper part of the wave.
But Skindog has been on the nose for so long, Sam.
Wow, that was one of the best nose rides we've seen.
Straight onto the nose, perched in the pocket. That board looking so spicy under his feet as he just is able to lock in and find that trim line. Now engages that rail, drives off the bottom as well, sets it up straight into the curl.
Here we go, Ben Skinner on the comeback, and he's a 7.93, and he's just parked on the nose through that first section. Now we're gonna see some of the power of Ben Skinner illustrated with a big swooping cutback back to the nose again for a 5, just touches it for a while. Again, powerful rail surfing. Skinner gets the 10, gets through this section, little hand drag to stall.
High and tight and hot. Look at him. Yes, perched. That's what's up.
That is what's up, like Cassius said.
You know, I quickly realized, you know, we can put this into any longboard design and surely it's going to give you more lift and more stability on the tail. So I was really keen to work with some different surfers and try and put this concept into a board that suits them. And one of the first people that we worked with was Lola Bleakley, and she's an amazing surfer. She's super graceful, but she's got an element of power and flair in her turns. And it's something that we want to harness for her, you know. That's something that she needs to really hold on to, but also have a traditional element and start hanging 10 for long periods of time if she really wants to go where she wants to go. So we made a much more dynamic outline compared to the original outline for the double scoop. So it still has that pulled in tail and curvier outline, but just less of a hip, less width here. So yeah, this is the dynamic double scoop and it's super exciting. Lola's flared on it. It's really just fitted her surfing perfectly and allowed her to have the confidence to go to the nose and hold nose rides and gain lift, but then still put in those beautiful turns that she can do. So I'm excited to watch her on it this year, see where she goes, and actually I'm going to be using this outline for the right-hand points that I'm going to be going to the World Tour this year, like Bells and El Salvador. I feel like this is going to be the magic board that's going to allow me to surf at my best of my ability at point breaks. Yeah, it's exciting to be able to have a concept that you can really put into most designs, really. And I've had so many different feelings out of the same concept, but now I've kind of picked my top two, and that's what we're going to start making for everyone else.